Hello everyone and welcome back to my class. As you know that I am Halim Nisa, teacher and junior lecturer of Allahabad High School and Junior College. Now today in this class we will continue our lesson, that is food security, from Social Studies chapter 10. After discussion and explanation of food security of country and the excess food, now we will discuss about the PDS, that is public distribution system. Ration shops are important means for people to access food grains in India. One survey was conducted in 2009 to 2010 to know whether the families in different states procure the food grains from PDS, that is public distribution system, in fair price shops, and how much are they part of the total food grain consumption. Okay, so for this, look this graph and observe that this people shows the dependency of PDS for the purchase of their food grains in different states of India. Here the studies indicates that southern states of India have a good in public distribution system. Here these are the states that have followed a universal PDS system, which means that at a low cost of food grains would be available to all. In this contrast, the other states where the poor families have been identified, and food grains are also sold at different prices to poor and non-poor. Even among the poor, the very poor have a different entitlements or guarantees for access. Okay, so that the India government come out with a new law in 2013 that called as National Food Security Act to legislate the people right to food. Here it applies approximately 2/3 of the population of India. As per this law, every person of low income families is entitled to the 5 kilograms of food grains per month at subsidized rates. Okay. Among the poor families, the poorest one are entitled to the 35 kilograms of food grains. For a few years, the central government will supply rice, wheat and millets for ₹3, ₹2 or ₹1 respectively. Under this law, if there is requirement, a maximum of 75% of people living in rural areas and 50% of the urban population have the right to buy the food grains from the public distribution system. Okay, that is ration shops. If the government is not able to arrange food grains, it will be give a cash to the people to buy food grains. This law is also envisages the providing free cooked meals for the pregnant women, lactating mothers and the children aged between the 1 to 6 years. Those who are coming to Anganwadis, and midday meals for the children aged 6 to 14 years, those who are come to schools. Okay. While Indian Parliament enacts various laws such as the National Food Security Act and implements schemes such as Integrated Child Development Scheme, that is ICDS. In recent times, the Indian judiciary also has become the proactive in ensuring the food security to them. So this judicial verdict on court case filed by the non-governmental organization, that is NGO. Then the Supreme Court directed all the state governments and the central governments to provide the midday meals to all the young generations and all the young children, those who are studying in school. By this, such schemes existed to all the small scale in a few states like Tamil Nadu. This scheme is now being implemented in all the states of India. About 14 crore children studying in school and eat midday meals today. So when the state governments refuse to implement this scheme, the court also set up a monitoring mechanism and provide the suggestions for better implementation, such as a midday meal should be locally produced, hot and cooked here, not a dry snacks or grain which many governments distributed until then, but here the hygienic and nutritious and with the varied menus or for every day or of the week. The court also ruled that preference be given to the Dalit cooks and widows and the destitute women. Here destitute means the extremely poor. This is the largest school feeding program in the world In order to generate the revenue for this scheme, the court directed the Indian government to impose the taxes. So here the hot cooked meal is also now provided in Anganwadis for children. Like this, the public distribution system PDS is working through all over the country. Okay, after this, now we will discuss about the nutrition status. Okay, now here in nutrition status, that we look at the nutrition status of a children and adult to judge whether the food actually consumed in adequate rate or not. This is also inform us if the above discussion what we have discussed before, that systems are working effectively or not, and what are the problem areas. Okay, here food is required by the body for all its functions, for energy, growth, and the capacity to remain healthy and fight illness, etc. The food that we consume is normally classified as carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins, and minerals. In carbohydrates that provide energy through wheat, rice, ragi, jawar, oil, sugar, fats, etc. Okay. Now come to the protein. Here the protein helps the growth and regeneration of body tissues through beans, dals, meat, eggs, rice, wheat, etc. are there. So here then vitamin provide to protection and they ensure the working of many vital system of the body through food such as fruits and leafy vegetables and sprouts and unpolished rice, etc. When come to the minerals that they required in a small quantity for many important functions such as iron for blood formation, this provided through the green leafy vegetables, ragi, etc. Okay, so here if we conduct a survey as we have done in some previous, that we find about the food people eat by asking them to describe the meals for the day, so that we can get a thorough idea of whether all the groups are being covered or not. It is difficult to measure the precise amount of carbohydrates, vitamins, proteins and minerals being consumed by each individual in the family. Exactly. Here the nutritionist has devised the indicators using the height and the weight that can inform us whether the individual are well nourished or not. Through these various measurements of a large population and the using of statistical knowledge of the nutritionist have been able to arrive that their reliable understand ranges. Exactly. Here the reliable standard of ranges. A comparison of an individual person is possible. This gives us the most reliable source of information about the nutritional status of people. But a survey conducted by the National Institute of Nutrition Hyderabad, that is NIN, across many states in the country and confirmed that the overall alarming status of nutrition in the country. Okay. While we have looked at the case studies of that depict real family situation of undernutrition and poverty, it is also important to examine some of these faceless systems. Okay, this helps to examine whether these situations are acceptance or an indication of a general trend. Exactly. They also help us to look at the issues that may be hidden and not to be obvious to common sense. So that what does the NIN survey indicate? Here NIN means National Institute of Nutrition. Out of the 7,000 children in the age group of 1 to 5 years are examined in the survey from many states in the country. Here 45% of the children are underweight. Their weight was less than what is expected by the normal standards. So that these children are in fact hunger stricken and not getting adequate food status. Okay. Unless they are severely underweight, it may be not easily visible or the identifiable. So going just by the common sense, we fail to realize the enormous number of children in the country are underweight. So here we are used to seeing such children that we take as the normal. The survey judges our common sense and they make us to realize that these situations would be seriously affected the growth and the capacities of nearly half of the total number of children in the country. After all, here the report weighs is that overall the prevalence of the underweight was about the 45%, and it was significantly higher among the 3 to 5 years compared to 1 to 3 year children. The prevalence was more than the 50% in the state of Gujarat, that is 58%, and in Madhya Pradesh 56.9%, and in Uttar Pradesh 53.2%, and observe the lowest in Kerala, that is 24%. The overall prevalence of the survey underweight was about 16%. So here the nutrition compared 3 state charts for the preschool children. Here these 3 different indicators give us overall the picture of nutrition status of these children. So observe this table. Here the nutrition status among adult men and women is measured using the body mass index, that is BMI. BMI is equal to the weight in kilograms divided by the height in meters squared. Here this index is compared with the range of show if the individual is underweight within the normal range or overweight. A high value shows the excess fat and the low value shows the fat level, that is less than what is required. According to NIN, that is National Institute of Nutrition report, the situation of adult men and women are that the prevalence of the chronic energy deficiencies, that is BMI, is less than 18.5 among men was about the 35%, while the overweight or obesity BMI is greater than 25 was 10%. About 35% of adult women had chronic energy deficiencies and the 14% were overweight or obese. The prevalence of the chronic energy deficiency was highest in the state of Odisha, Gujarat and Uttar Pradesh, followed by 33 to 38% in Karnataka, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh and West Bengal. So here how is related to food security is questionable. So that a doctor who is working in a rural area of Chhattisgarh running a community health program where the streams of underweight patients come every day and explain this. From a study of the patients, he found that the PDS gain of 35 kilograms per month for a family of 5 lasted only the 11 days. For the rest of the month, they have to depend on the market or on their own producers. For example, a rickshaw puller who earns the 70 to 80 rupees per day would try to survive on the PDS grain. Exactly. Here spending rupees 400 on rent and rupees 100 on electricity. It was not surprising that he lost weight and caught tuberculosis. Okay, these measures are thus indicators of food security. The doctor come from the Chhattisgarh has says that no one would have a lower weight or lower height if he or she had access to adequate food. Exactly. The proof of the pudding in the eating, we can judge all the process like purchasing power of people by looking at a body parameters like weight and height. So besides a person heights can also tell us whether the food was available during his or her childhood. We can still choose to describe the overweight and the stunned people as malnourished. We like, but I suggest the correct term would be hunger. Exactly. So by this we have completed our chapter. We have discussed the points that the food security from the point of view of overall production of food in the country. What can be done to increase the food production? After that we have discussed how the availability is measured and whatever is produced and availability has to reach the people or not, and this could be through that what they purchase in the market or in the ration shops or through the schemes such as midday meals and etc. That what we have discussed just now in our class, and about the production and the availability and how the excess food and the nutrition and the buffer stock, hunger, PDS system, how the PDS system is working all over the country. Through the PDS system, how many poor peoples are gaining their food grains and they are wholly dependent on the PDS system only. Over a long period of time, that is 35% to 45% of people are consuming less food and then they should. A large section of the people are malnourished, means or hunger. Even when we have a adequate food in the country, this is not acceptable. These issues of food security needs a careful thinking and the effort in all above the directions, and that we have to implement it. That only that all the poor and the poorest families of the country, they will be gained from the food grains from the PDS system only. By this we have completed our 10th chapter, that is food security. Thank you.